And on to the Red Sox here. Obviously, the two big starting pitching moves that they made is that's not even potentially the most impactful. It is going to be the most impactful either way. Either,
Yep.
it's either going to be really bad because of injuries or it's going to be really great because we added two aces. Um, Crochet and Bueller are huge for the Red Sox. They've needed starting pitching. We've been screaming for starting pitching for the last 2 or 3 years. Finally got it. Um, Patrick Sandoval, we said was due back in May.
He's second half, like June, July, they're
Okay,
saying.
June,
So
July, and then Giolito is back in May, I
Giolito's,
think.
yeah, late April,
Slated
early
for.
May.
So that we're looking at a pretty solid rotation there, if and only if everyone is healthy. But obviously, Crochet and Bueller are huge for this Boston team.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the Red Sox last year. They're in the top 10 in runs scored. They're also in the bottom 10 in runs given up.
Yeah,
And they finished at exactly, was it +4 for the season? I
yeah,
think finishing 500. So
yeah.
they can score, they can hit, but they can't prevent runs to save their lives. And these are steps in the right direction. I will say that I I do feel, and this is probably a whole topic for another show, but I do feel like Craig Breslow is showing a little bit that he might be a little in over his head with some of the stuff that has come out of that front office, some of the moves they've made. Signing Walker Bueller to a straight 1 year contract, no option, no nothing. No chance to get him for a second year. Um, I feel like they overpaid for Crochet. That they gave up a lot of value for Crochet. Now, if those guys don't develop and Crochet ends up being a long term ace, you take that. But I do feel like they've made some moves. They've made progress. They're definitely better. They've
Yes.
addressed the needs they had. But I do feel like Breslow has done that at quite a cost from a president of baseball ops. Is that what he is? Not a GM.
Ye Yes? I
Okay.
don't know.
So
Either
from
way.
a president of baseball ops, he's definitely showing some inexperience in how he's handled some of those deals. Now, of course, it's easy for me to sit here and say that,
Right.
saying this is how I would have done it, and maybe those weren't even options. But I do think you look at the body of work. It's been a very good offseason for the Red Sox. I don't think they're done, but I do think there's some. If you pick apart the details of what they've done, there's also some missed opportunities and some costs they had in there they probably didn't have to give up.
Yeah. I think, when we first were talking about the Crochet deal, it was Roman Anthony and it was Marcelo Mayer where the
Yep.
names floated around and Breslow was like, they're untouchable. Like we're not sending them. So to give up Kyle Teal was kind of big. But you had to get it done. I think he was in a position where it's
Yep.
like was starting to feel the pressure of Red Sox Nation. Where
Yes.
I think um, Bloom didn't care. Like he's been in the GM role enough, and he's heard the fans scream at him, and
Yep.
he doesn't really care. And I think his hands were kind of tied in some way. At least that's what it looks like from the outside.
Yeah, Chaim Bloom was a wheeler dealer in Tampa Bay, spinning off players for prospects, and he did in Boston what he did in Tampa Bay. He built the player development system, he
Right.
built the farm system, he stacked it with talent
Yeah.
to then either be able to run that talent up to the major leagues and build a cheap team, or trade them off and bring in experienced players. So
Yeah.
Breslow is definitely getting the fruits of that labor, but at the same time, they've definitely had some, I'd say, missed opportunities this offseason that somebody more experienced like Bloom probably would have captured, where somebody like Breslow maybe didn't. But I think
Yeah.
the body of work, I think, is good, and I think I agree with you, John. I think the Red Sox have done a nice job, and they've put together a nice roster, and I think they've still got a little bit more to do. But I don't know if the Red Sox are quite the AL East choice for me yet, because I think the Yanks have changed the dynamic a little bit. But you're right. The track record for the Yanks would say the Red Sox are probably going to be there and have a shot.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a prediction now, and with that 1 year deal with Bueller, this is an ultimate prove it deal. I think he's gonna go out and he's just gonna have absolute nasty stuff. Um, and he's banking on himself to stay healthy. If
Yeah.
he's only signing a 1 year deal, because if he gets hurt and his one year deal expires, he's not gonna get anything on the free agent market at the end of next season. So
No, and that's actually, I think, how he ended up in Boston. Is I think that the market for him didn't quite develop, and he was looking for a place to
yeah,
go where he could rebuild that
yeah,
that cachet that came with his name a few years
yeah.
ago. And I think Boston's a good opportunity. So it should be a good team. He'll have a chance to win. And if you can make it in Boston, you can make it anywhere.